Hello and welcome to the O.I. Life channel. My name is Tony Jacobsen, and this channel is all about spotlighting and celebrating osteogenesis imperfecta lifestyle. So, in this video, I get to spotlight one of our fellow O.I. community members. He's a fellow DJ, a gamer, and a podcaster, and he goes by the name of O.I.er. I know, we're going to get into what his name is all about during our conversation, so sit back, relax, and enjoy my interview with O.I.er. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am here with Rusty, the O.I.er. I'm going to start there. Let's just start right there. You go by O.I.er. I want to know, first of all, why do you call yourself O.I.er?
Okay, well, I started my own DJ service back in 1988, and I went by the DJ name Radical Rusty. Now, my father at the time, now you got to remember this is 80s, this is back then, Radical wasn't really a good name. Like,
Yeah.
Even though it fit the time, it wasn't a good name. It didn't have a good history behind it. And my dad was like, I can't stand Radical Rusty, you're not radical. And I'm like, yeah, but I am, because I just, I get stupid when I'm playing, setting up music and stuff. So years later, I got into wrestling, and I friended a independent wrestler, and we were talking, and I was telling him about my DJ, and I told him my name was Radical Rusty, and he's like, "Man, I'm gonna call you O.I.er," and I said, "You know what? That's more modern.
Right.
That's not the '80s tone to it anymore." So I just changed it to O.I.er. And the way I wrote it was the word double and then in parentheses R. I didn't do RR because then I'd be called, everybody start calling me RR.
RR. Yeah.
I want the double in there. So that's where the name O.I.er comes from. And I've incorporated in not only DJing, not only the podcast that I'm doing now, but I also have a gaming channel that it's the O.I.er Gamers with a Z.
Awesome.
And so I just carry the name. Now,
I think it's great because it is classic. It is timeless. Yeah.
And the other thing is my actual initials are RR. It's RR, and then my last name starts with a B, so I'm RRB. So I do have RR already. So it's originally from my DJ name.
You can play it any way you want, and it works, and that's the awesome thing. That is so cool.
I've been known for a lot of different names. Like
that's great.
There's been a bunch of people that give me different names and stuff like that. But,
I know.
I try to go by O.I.er.
Yeah, O.I.er's great. I'm the same way. I've been through so many different monikers and names through the years, man. Through the DJing, through performing, through it's like but everybody will end up calling me Tony. And it is funny because I will be able to gauge I'll be able to remember where I know people from by the name that they call me. I'm sure you do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, welcome to the O.I. Life show and to the O.I. Life channel. I really appreciate you taking the time to come here and just chat with us and just kind of chop it up. This is all about celebrating and spotlighting O.I. Life and Osteogenesis Imperfecta lifestyle and just showing, different O.I.ers that are out there doing different things out in the world. And you are doing a lot of different things. So before we get into that, though, I want you to go through what I like to call the Fabulous Four. And this is your type of O.I., how many breaks have you had any surgeries, and then do you have any hardware? So go ahead and give us your Fabulous Four.
Okay, the first one was what type of O.I. do I have?
Yeah.
I have... I've never been tested, so I've never done the test. But I usually tell people I'm between a 3 and a 4.
Okay, that's cool.
And the funny thing about that is that we had a regional conference in Houston, and I went to it. And it's the first time I've been, I say as an adult, been to a conference or a regional conference. And so I was in there, and I'm listening to them, and they start off with, there's 4 types, and blah, 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 and then there's this type and that type and that. And I'm like, what?
Right.
And so when we got out of the presentation, I went up to some O.I. Foundation members, and I jokingly just looked at them and went, you lost me after 4.
Right, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
4 is what I had when I was born. Like, what was wrong with 4? 4 was good.
Yeah,
like,
4 is good. It's a good general number for a lot of people. It's fine.
So I usually say I'm between a 3 and a 4.
Okay.
You said how many breaks?
How many breaks? Yeah.
Over 300.
Oh,
Way over
nice. Nice.
I mean, I know when I was born, I think I had 1 arm, 2 legs, and I want to say my neck and my nose and my forehead was broken or cracked, or however you want to say that.
Right. Okay.
Also, when I was born, they only gave me 3 days to live. In this June, I'll be 52.
Yes, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Thriving with OI, baby. Like not following those stats and those numbers.
So I'm 3 and a 4, 300 breaks.
Yep. How many surgeries?
Surgeries, I've had at least 15. That
Okay.
I can remember.
And-
all of them were in my younger years.
Okay.
Didn't
And
have anything in my older years.
are the surgeries for hardware? Like how much hardware do you have in your body?
I have. I've had hardware in both lower limbs. One, my right lower limb or leg, doesn't have a rod in it anymore. But the top part does. The left side has rod on top and bottom, and then I have a rod in my my right arm, upper arm, that's been in there since I was 4 years old.
Wow.
So it's basically protruding out of both ends of the bone, but it doesn't bother me. It's just
there. Yeah.
it's just there. And the last time I broke something was I think I figured this out the other day. 1998.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I only broke something because I was in a car wreck.
Oh, see? Yeah.
I didn't break anything doing something just normal.
Right.
I broke something because I was in a car wreck. And then before that, it was almost 20 years.
Now, let me ask you, just thinking about that time frame, what do you think it's been that's attributed to the fracture prevention? Like, what have you been doing?
Okay, I'm gonna answer that by telling a little bit of a story. I have a primary care physician doctor that has very limited knowledge of O.I. And every time I go in there, she'll ask me a different question related to O.I., right? Just kind of get an idea. So the one time I went in there, and over the years that I've seen her, she's gotten to know me. She's got, I've told her stories, blah, blah, blah. Well, this one time I go in and she goes, Rusty, I want to ask you a question. I said, okay, what? And she said, from what I understand from you, when you were younger, you broke a lot. And I said, yeah, it was way easier for me to break when I was younger. And so she goes, and I laugh every time I think about this. She goes, well, why don't you break now? And my personality answer was, because I'm smarter.
Right.
She just looked at me like, what? And I said, that's a factor. I am smarter. I'm smarter to know what I can and cannot do, what chances I'm going to take, what chances I'm not going to take, and that's a part of it. And I think that's for most OI. We just get smarter to know what we can do and what we can't do.
Right.
Some are more daring than others. I mean, believe me, I've seen some stuff on Facebook going, there is no way I'm doing that. No.
Right.
But the other thing that I was always told, and again, I'm not a doctor, and I grew up with where OI knowledge was very little anywhere. But I was always told that the older that we got, the less we would break. But as we get even older, it's almost like with a normal person, they will start reverting back to, we can break a little bit easier now.
Right.
We don't,
Yeah.
So that's what I've related it to. But mainly just because I don't take chances. Physically, you don't like get out there and do crazy stuff. You're chilling. I'll give you an example. I have a power chair. I've only had a power chair for about 2 years now. Got it right before the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. This is my first power chair. I have always been in the manual chair. And my attitude was, as long as I could push this chair, that's what I'm going to use. I don't want to go to a power chair. Mm-hmm. But the problem that I have with the power chair is I also drive my own vehicle. And the vans, or vehicles or vans now, don't have an actual lift anymore. They have a ramp that folds out. Mm-hmm. Well, I couldn't push myself up the ramp in my manual chair. So, and I actually didn't like going up and down the ramp in my manual chair. I was so nervous about something going wrong because I had some control, but little control. So when I got the power chair, I was so excited because I was like, oh, now I can go up and down the ramp, no problem. But even with my power chair, I was still very scared about going up and down the ramp.
Nervous, nervous about.
Nervous. Yeah. I remember the first day I got my chair and I went out there and I had a chair. I had the same chair as a demo chair for about 2 weeks in my house. And like a dummy, I didn't go outside and practice going up and down my ramp while I had it. I only did it like one day and did it like 6 times and still was freaked out about it. So when I finally got my chair, I went outside, opened my ramp, opened my door, told my mom. My mom even thinks she didn't understand why I wanted this. But I told my mom to stand to the right of the ramp. And she goes, well, why? And I said, so you can watch me die if something goes wrong, because you're not going to be able to do anything.
I need a witness to what happened.
Yeah, because this wheelchair is 300 pounds. I'm almost another 200 pounds, which is terrible, but that's another story. And
we'll talk about that next. Go ahead.
If this goes wrong, I just need you to go get help. But I pulled up to the ramp, and that's the first time that in my life that I recognized I had a panic attack.
Like you were really nervous.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just looked at it and went, nope.
Yeah.
And it took 2 people to convince me. Not really convince. Well, one convinced me of something. The other one was just giving me a tip. And my brother gave me a tip because he went out with me a couple of times early on when I had the chair. And he saw the fear in my eyes and saw that I was
genuinely scared, genuinely nervous about this. Yeah.
And he just said, look, pull up to it and just go.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate. Just go. My other friend named Ed, who also has O.I., so I was talking to him one day and I was telling him how nervous I was about going up and down my ramp. And he just looked at me or told me, he goes, hey, your chair is not going to go anywhere that you don't want it to go. And even if you pull up on the ramp and just stop, your chair is not going to roll backwards. Mm-hmm. It's not going to move. It's not going to go anywhere. And so I took that advice in what he said, and I was in the bathtub one day, and I looked over at my chair, and I'm like, he says it won't go anywhere. Now, granted, the chair was even totally turned off, and I reached over and grabbed it and tried to move it. Now, it moved a little bit because it does have some play.
Right.
But it didn't roll. And I was like, okay, I got it now. I get it.
Yeah.
So from that point on, I've gotten a little bit better each time. I will say this. I still get nervous from time to time going up and down it. I don't like the feeling. I don't like the throwback feeling when you're going up. Right. Because you when you go up, you got that feeling of you're going back like this. Mm-hmm. And man, I lean so far forward when I'm going up, so I don't have that feeling.
Right.
It's but that's my story on. That's probably my biggest fear is going up and down ramps.
What I want to ask you is, just in regards to O.I., what do you feel has been the most challenging thing for you, like, throughout your life? Because, just as O.I., as it pertains to O.I.
I'm probably going to be the first person that has O.I. that looks at you and go, what challenges?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I
love it.
I accepted who I was a long time ago. I accepted, like, I've always told people, and then now that I have more friends that have O.I., because growing up I didn't have that many friends with O.I.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, this is going to sound really bad. Don't mean to offend anybody, but I didn't want to be around anybody with a disability when I was younger.
Okay.
That might have been because I was the only one most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there can only be one.
You're like, if we're gonna be disabled, I'm gonna be the one that's disabled.
But as I've gotten older, my attitude towards, that has totally changed.
Yeah.
But I have never been a person with OI that has ever uttered the words, "I hate OI."
That's awesome. Yeah. No, that's
Why?
good.
Why? I mean,
Yeah.
why do you hate something that you have no idea what it's like?
Without
You're different. You're type 1. You suck.
I still have my version,
I know,
my things. But yeah.
For someone like me, that's always been wheelchair bound, always been short, always had the typical OI. I call myself the typical OI.
Right.
It's, we all know that we can look at someone with my type and go, "Oh, you got OI."
Right.
Just by looking at them, like not even asking them.
Right.
But I have never been like, I hate OI. I've never wished that I could walk or run. Like, when I say wish, I don't mean like I've never wished it. Like
you never thought about it.
Right. I wish I could play basketball. I wish I could play football. I wish I could do, this or that. But I wasn't down on that I couldn't do it.
Right. So then let me ask you this then. So what, instead of challenges, like what advantages do you think, if any, has OI had in your life?
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because I'm planning on doing an episode called, hopefully you laugh at this, Disabled Privilege.
Uh-huh.
A play on white privilege, or any kind of. So my disabled privilege would be more like, in my case, I don't have to be at the end of the line.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the front of the line. Movie theater, theme park.
Right.
Like, concerts. Hey, let me take you around to the side entrance where the elevator is, or whatever.
Right.
But I've always had this mantra or saying, I'm only disabled when I need to be.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and most of the time it backfires on me, because...
Because do you determine that? That's the thing. I mean,
Because I'll go into a store, and most of the time I roll around a store, I don't need help. I don't want help. I don't ask, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it seems like when I don't need it, it's, can I help you?
Right. That's when people want to help.
No,
yeah.
leave me alone. Like, can I get the door for you? No. Well, now in the power chair, I do want people to get the door for me, because it's way harder to open the door in a power chair than it was in the manual chair. But,
Right.
But then when I do need it,
and you're like, hey, where's somebody?
I have literally sat in an aisle looking up at what I wanted for at least 30 minutes before somebody came along. And that's just either a store person or a customer. So
Yeah.
There are, I do have things that I will say prevent me from doing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could be physically, I can't do it. That could be mentally, I can't do it. Like I can't, like the ramp thing, going up and down the ramp.
Right.
The accessibility of places sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
I did an episode about handicap parking and my view on handicap parking. And I made this statement in the episode saying, why is handicap parking only up at the front of the store?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Why isn't there handicap parking throughout the parking lot?
Yeah.
Because for someone like me, I don't need to be at the front of the store.
You're in a chair. You could go further.
I'm going to roll. Matter of fact, this is what I do. I do this a lot. Since I don't like to go up and down my ramp, I will go find a parking place where I can let my lift down like a bridge, right? Where I can just go off onto the shopping strip sidewalk, right? And I don't have to worry about going up and down, like feeling that nervousness and everything. I can just go in and out. And I used to do that in my other van with the lift. I would just park next to a curb that I could let the lift down on. From that point on, I just roll. I would roll to all kinds of stores and everything, and I'm just sitting here thinking, if there was parking places that were scattered throughout the parking lot, just like there's handicap seating scattered throughout a stadium, they're not just in one spot. You know, they're all over the place. I think it would be better. And my other complaint about handicap parking is that van accessible parking is not designed right.
Yeah. What would you change? What would you change? Like, what's the?
I would change.
You know?
I would just change the overall parking spot to all of them being van accessible.
Yes.
On either side.
Yeah.
On either side, that they're wide enough. You know, you have a plenty of space.
Right.
Even if somebody kind of screws up and parks stupid.
Yeah.
You can still get out. But I'm also not one of these people that get frustrated or mad or upset that a person that, like Tony here, parks in handicap parking.
I try my best not to get in the van accessible spots, though.
And he just walks into the store, and the whole time we're looking at him going,
like, what are you doing, dude?
Like I say in that episode, it's like the handicap parking is not just for the physical. Like, or not visual.
Yeah.
It's not for the visual.
Yeah.
Like, because you could have other issues that, you know, like, yeah, you're not in a chair, but that doesn't mean you aren't disabled. And
yeah, absolutely.
Now,
yeah.
I will get mad if you park in a handicap parking space, especially here in Texas, because you either have to have the blue placard that hangs on your rearview mirror, or you got to have the license plate.
Right.
If you ain't got either of those, why are you parking in my space?
Dude, that's everywhere. That's everywhere, man. That's one of the most frustrating things ever.
I encourage you to go back and listen to that episode, Handicap Parking.
Yeah.
Because I tell some stories in there about my
your adventures in handicap parking. I love it. No.
But going back to your original question, no, I don't feel like I've had, other than the obvious obstacles. Mm-hmm. O.I. hasn't really kept me from doing what I do. And I probably had the best parents that, I know every kid says that. I had the best parents, you know.
Right.
What I really loved about my parents was that they didn't really tell me no. Mm-hmm. Like when I wanted to do something or experience something. And one quick little sample of one of my podcasts, I talk about me wanting to wear roller skates. Mm-hmm. And I asked my mom, can I get roller skates? And my mom's like in her head, she's like, no. Like, those are going to break you? You know, they're going to break your legs? Yeah. But instead of her coming out saying no, she kind of steered the conversation into, how about instead of roller skates, we get you a skateboard? Mm-hmm. And you can go wherever you want on that skateboard. It has the same wheels as roller skates, basically, and you can do that. Well, a few months later, maybe even a year later, whatever it was, we were at a muscular dystrophy skate-a-thon. Mm-hmm. And I told my mom, I said, I want to put on roller skates. And I just kept hounding her, and so she said, okay, you know. She reluctantly goes over to the guy to get some skates, and I go over with her, and my mom goes, do you have any skates in size whatever it was? Because obviously they were going to be super small. Right. And he looks at her with this look like, what are you trying to do? like, you know, like, why are you trying to give a kid in a wheelchair roller skates? And I don't know what was said, but I came out with, all I want to do is know what it feels like to have roller skates on. Right. And when I said that, that dude almost cried. Mm-hmm. And so My parents have never really told me no. I was a little bit more adventurous per se when I was younger. Like I climbed trees, I climbed
Yeah.
on furniture to get cookies that were put out of my reach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was a lot more adventurous. As I got older, I was like, screw that.
You're like, I don't need that. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
And part of it was that, you know, going back earlier when I said I'm a smarter, like I don't break that much because I'm smarter now. Part of it is knowing that it's going to screw up my lifestyle for a little bit if I break something.
Yeah, that's
no
a big
matter
point.
what it is.
Yeah, that's
know.
that's a big point as we get older and like you're saying, smarter and just more aware, more self-aware of what we got going on in life. You knowing that a break could take you out for weeks at a time, and you got stuff to do. When you're a kid, you ain't got anything to do, so you don't really think about that stuff.
Stuff is not really the issue. It's just being able to take a bath.
Yeah, just being able to live life normally.
I mean,
you know,
the one thing that I think about when I if I'm feel like, oh, this is going to cause me to break something.
Mm-hmm.
Do I really not want to be able to take a bath like normal?
Right.
No.
Yeah. Hey, whatever the motivation is to, you know, have you think about something, stop and think about it before you do it. Whatever the motivation is, it's good motivation. Right. That's great.
But my parents keep me from doing anything. I probably didn't limit myself very much when I was younger, but as I got older, I limit myself on a lot of things. Like and even some of my O.I. friends are like, man, you're such a wuss. I'll say, well, I haven't broken anything.
Right. You know, that's a thing within the O.I. community. You never know because there's some people that think about that where they're like, yeah, you know, I don't want to break. Then there's other people that are like, well, you're just going to break. And that's just part of life and you got to deal with it, right? So, you know, there's different camps and different varying thoughts about that.
I saw a picture of I think it was a girl that was on a four-wheeler that had O.I. I ain't doing that.
You're like, go ahead, girl, but that's not me.
I got on a horse with my mom when I was younger one time, and the horse actually fell over.
Oh, my God.
You think I'm getting back on the horse again?
You're like, no more horses. Yeah, there's definitely...
I did get on a three-wheeler with my brother.
Yeah.
And I got really nervous because my brother... When we were younger, and my brother was trying to go really fast, and I actually hit the turn-off button and killed it. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't want to be on this. Get me off.
Oh, that's great. Well, man, it's definitely, you know, it's a good thing hearing that your parents didn't stop you, you know, and again, there's different parents out there. I think any parents that are watching this and hearing us talk about it, because my parents were the exact opposite. I have type 1. It's not as severe, but I had parents that stopped me, that would say no, that would definitely, you know, so I absolutely lived with the other side of it and not having even a more severe condition or a case of O.I. And, you know, I've been hearing it a lot lately. It's so funny that you talk about it because there's even more like type 3 O.I.ers that I've met. Their parents have been more willing to let them do stuff than me as a type 1 who wasn't as severe. So it's a very interesting kind of take on that. And I'd wonder, you know, I'd love to talk to the parents to find out what their thoughts are.
I'll give you an example. I was in Walmart and this guy with this, I think it was a little girl, might have been a little boy, but I turned around and I looked and I saw him and I was like, that kid has O.I. And as I rolled by them, I stopped and I asked the father, does he have O.I.? And he said, yes. And we had a little quick conversation. And I told him I have O.I. And, you know, I think meeting someone like me at my age gives parents hope that their child will be okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so he asked me if I could give him any advice. And I have, I think, 3 different things that I would tell somebody that has a child with O.I. or a child in their life that has O.I. Like, might not be their child, but like a niece, nephew, you know, grandson, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So here are my 3 things that I say. If you're the parent, just know they're going to break. Period. Ain't going to be your fault. It ain't the reason. You're not the reason. They're going to break. 2, when they break, you have to be disciplined enough not to overreact to the break. Like, I've seen normal, what we would say able-bodied, normal kids, fall down really hard, get up, and just keep on moving. But the ones that react are the ones that react to the way their parents are reacting. Like, oh my God, come here, that kind of deal. So I usually say to them, just don't overreact. Don't be calm, cool, as much as you can, and take care of the situation. And then 2 was when I go back to my parents. Don't try not to tell your child, no. Like, understand what they're saying or asking you. My example was skates. I didn't want to go roller skating. I just wanted to know what it felt to have roller skates on. So those were my 3 things that I told a parent. Just, those simple things. And do you agree on the one of overreacting?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a huge piece of it. I think it's going to be different again between parents. Just as a parent, a parent myself, I act differently than another parent. But then you put on the O.I., of course, because a lot of parents with O.I.ers, they understand as parents they don't want to see their child in pain, and that is the biggest. That's the number one thing for them is they hate to see their child in pain, and they know that when we break, we're going to be in pain. So I think it is a tough thing. But a very vital thing for parents of O.I.ers to really, start to think about and work on, because you're right, it does lend to a lot of the, mental and emotional stuff for us as O.I.ers. I know my parents treated every break as a bad thing. So I was brought up thinking that a break is bad. So that's how I lived my life. That's why I was like, well, I don't want to break, because if I break, it's bad. So that's, it definitely, like you're saying, don't overreact. And if they can really, and look, we can only tell them as much as we can because every parent is different, but we can just really ask them to do their best and really try to, not overreact and, not treat it as a bad thing, because it's going to happen. It's not like it's not going to happen. It's going to happen. So, yeah, I absolutely agree.
My number one, hey, they are going to break, period.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
And it's going to happen in weird ways, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh, man, the weirdest, right? What was the most weird break you've had?
Well, the only one I can give an example of is that my mom, I crawled across the floor. Just crawling. And I broke it's either my arm or my leg. And my mom takes me to the doctor, to the emergency room. And number one thing, try to avoid, if you have a child with O.I., is to go to an emergency room. Because they are, most of the time, they're not going to believe your child has O.I. There can be a lot of problems caused that way.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother podcast episode we got to do.
So the doctor goes, ask my mom, how did he break his leg? She goes, he was crawling across the floor. Well, children don't break bones just crawling. Well, you do when they have O.I.
Right.
But when I say weird, I don't mean like it's like
the easiest, kind of like in the most
easiest.
The most like common moves,
baseball cap.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend throw me a baseball cap, and I reached out to grab it, and I fell back and I hurt myself.
Right.
Yeah. So I had a friend one time step on my leg. I was laying on the floor in front of my window in my bedroom, and I had a window that went like basically to the floor, almost to the floor. And I was just laying there, and my legs were covered up with a blanket. And he went to step over. He thought he was going to step over me, and he stepped right on my leg. Oof. And I immediately yelled out, and he left. He just he knew he did something wrong, so he left. and he's coming, like hurrying his butt out of the house. And my mom's like, Brian, what happened? And he didn't say nothing. He just left. Like,
right.
I ain't gonna admit to nothing. So
Yeah, I
I've
mean
had
that's
all kinds
happened.
of,
I've
all
had
kinds of breaks.
I've had breaks happen where like I remember breaking something, being in the cast, and then breaking it while I or like re-breaking it while I was in the cast.
Oh, I've
Like
never
that's
done
happened
that,
to
but,
me.
You know,
Yeah.
that's your one type one people. You know,
That's like one of the weird type of breaks. I mean they
you
happen
know, I
just
don't like type ones.
That's it. We're ending this interview. Goodbye. No, but yeah, I mean, I think it's really great that your parents have been, that way for this entire time, and I think it's led to where you are now, being able to thrive. You're 50. You said 52, right? You're going to be 52.
in June.
Awesome. I just turned 50 last July, so I'm right in that club with you, the big 50. Let's
Hey,
go.
I didn't realize you were that old.
Yeah, right.
You
I'm trying to
like
keep
23.
it young. Thank you.
Oh, well, look, I just let it come out. Like, screw it.
Dude, if I could grow it like that, I would, man. I can't. It doesn't even grow.
I was sitting here looking at it and I go, man, that gray and white is really coming in now.
It looks good on you. It looks good on you.
Hey.
But that's what let's get into it, man. You've been DJing for years. You've been really interested in gaming, podcasting. I want to talk first about. I'm sure the gaming came first before the podcasting.
It was DJ, gaming, podcast.
Okay, so talk to me about really the gaming. Like, how did you get into the gaming stuff?
Going back to saying, do I wish I didn't have O.I.? Do I wish I could run and do all this? Gaming for me was a way to experience those things that I couldn't do physically. So I started off with a system that probably hardly anybody knows was called Odyssey. It was right around the time I think Atari came out.
Okay.
And then from there, I've had PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4. Haven't got a 5 yet. I don't think hardly anybody's got a 5. No, I'm just joking. I've had Xbox 360. I still have some of these. Xbox 360, Xbox One, Wii, Switch.
Or do we got a Sega Genesis in that?
I don't have it now, but I play Sega Genesis.
Right.
I had all the attachments. I had the CD. I had all that. I played Super Nintendo.
Right. Nintendo. Yeah.
So
every gaming system for many years you've had. Let's put it that way.
I tried to have pretty much all of. Oh, I had a Dreamcast too.
Yeah, oh my gosh, Dreamcast. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love video games just for the aspect that I can play football, I can play basketball, I can be a wrestler, I can.
Yeah.
My two favorite games that I play most of the time, GTA and Red Dead Redemption 2 or Red Dead Online. I play those two games primarily.
Gotcha.
I started my gaming channel back in 2016, I believe.
Okay.
And I grew it to about 635 subscribers.
Nice.
And I kind of fell off of doing it because the internet we have here, just terrible.
Right.
For streaming.
Yeah.
I could do videos and how-to videos and stuff like that, but I really wanted to do the streaming because I knew that's what was going to be bring in subscribers and stuff like that, and it just kind of fell off. And so when I stopped doing that, I needed to find a way to, I'm going to say it like this, be a DJ but not be a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, podcasting is not too bad.
How long have you been doing the Let's Roll podcast?
I just started that in August of last year. I got all the time in the world to do whatever I want to do right now. I don't have a regular job or a part-time job. I'm strictly on disability. Podcasting can lead to making money, even though it takes a while to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I want to be able to get my my thoughts, my beliefs, my opinions. I just need an outlet just to talk about stuff. And I'm sure there's a lot of either podcasts or YouTube channels, things out there that talk about how people with disability, or how living with a disability and the challenges and all that. Well, I kind of had the same idea, but I didn't want to just keep it necessarily on the OI, even though OI is what I have.
Right.
I just wanted to speak in general terms of having a disability, a physical disability.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I decided, okay, I need a foundation on my podcast. So my foundation is going to be this. I'm going to take any kind of topic and combine or associate my disability into it.
Mm-hmm.
And the examples I like to give people is like simple thing like going to vote. Okay, what are my challenges when I go to vote? You know, how easy it is for me, you know.
What considerations do you have to take in? Yeah, what do you have to take into consideration for it?
Like, I live in a rural area. I don't technically live in Houston. I am very close to Houston, but I live on the outskirts. And we live in a very rural area. And my voting poll station place is not handicap accessible.
Right.
Period.
Which is insane. It's 2022. Come on.
So you know, when people get all up in arms about, oh, we don't want people to mail in their ballots and blah, 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 I'm like, what? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Just, people like me need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
But I just try to take topics like that and associate it, you know. And again, you can go back and look at all of my old podcasts.
Well, yeah, we're gonna go. I'm gonna put all the links to your. I'm gonna put all the links to your stuff in the interview show notes, description, and all that stuff.
So we don't have to sit here and do it like this.
Oh yeah. You're gonna send that all to me, and for everybody watching, you're gonna get all the links that you need in the right places. So I invite everybody that's watching, go and check out the Let's Roll podcast with O.I.er. You're gonna get all the links to everything that is O.I.er. Thank you, Rusty, so much. Before we wrap it up, what final thing do you want to say? Since this is the O.I. Life show, the O.I. Life channel, what are some final thoughts you have for all of the O.I.ers that are watching, for all of the people that are, you know, involved in the O.I. community? What are some final thoughts?
Keep it rolling, baby. Keep it rolling. Like, don't let stuff stop you. I know we all have our limitations. We all have our anxieties and all of that, but as long as you just put your head down and move forward.
Thanks, Rusty, for being with us. O.I.er in the house. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man. Keep it rolling.
I hope you enjoyed this O.I. Life Spotlight. For more information and to get connected and for all the links, make sure you check the show notes. Now it's time to hit that like button, share this video with somebody, and make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell icon so that you'll get notified every single time a new video is released. If you want to see more Osteogenesis Imperfecta related content, there's videos right over there for you to watch. Oh, and that one down there is being suggested specifically for you, so make sure you check that one out. All right, until next time, get out there, keep breaking barriers, not bones. Peace.